Chafing Armor Podcast, Episode 27, Jumping the Shark. Welcome back to the Chafing Armor Podcast. I made Lee laugh. That's wonderful. I am your host and irascible Dungeon Master Michael Corley, and with me today in this special solo adventure is Lee. Lee, tell everyone who you are playing.
G'day everyone, I'm Lee. As you probably can't tell from the accent, but I'm from Australia. I will be playing my favourite character, or at least the dice favourite character, Osakai, who is the Razorclaw Shifter Ranger from the Eldane Reaches.
Yes, you have been tremendously favored by your dice, and I want to say that I went to Moore, Oklahoma, into the local comic book shop, and I purchased a brand new set of dice, which, by the way, have been rolling very, very well, but you have just been barely edging them out for the time being, so we shall see if I don't have a chance to murder you later. When we last left... Oh, go ahead.
We are not sponsored, but Game Science dice. Swear by them.
There you go. I need to get myself some. Game Science, if you want to sponsor this podcast, just shoot me an email. We last left with Osakai, who had been battling evil pirates with the rest of the adventurers and had become separated back on the ship. You had sensed something was going on with Zuana, who was not in the best of health. You came in to find a hag literally stealing her breath with a short and fairly disgusting combat, including a bucket of sick and a bucket over the head, which actually probably saved your life. You have managed to restrain this hag. I'm going to actually cut ahead in time, just to kind of keep the narrative flowing, shall we say. And you have actually brought this hag, who has no skin, has a bucket over her head, and is bound by a bedsheet. You have brought her out and alerted some of the other crew. The first one to respond is a burly, though nowhere near as burly as you, human male whose name is Brumio. And Brumio, you get along fine with him. He's gruff. He doesn't talk a lot. He's got a pendant that he swears will keep him from drowning that you know is just like a lump of coral. He assisted you in properly binding this hag. By the way, the reason that you felt comfortable doing that is Zuana assures you, or at least she as sure as she can be, that as long as it's restrained, it should not be able to enter into its ethereal shape and turn into smoke and escape. And so now you are on the top of the deck where the rest of the crew is starting to surface. It's still kind of misting, and there's certainly lightning, and there's tons of fog, and there's tons of wind, but it's not like a driving rain now. It's kind of that nasty little misty rain. And the rest of the crew is coming out. You see that Jackson, who is actually the captain of the ship, is a human female, has come out and has been quizzing you both on the pirates and on this very unpleasant capturing. Assisting in your restraining is a huge orc who works on the ship, whose name is Tun Tun. You don't know if that's its real name or a nickname. You've never asked. Between you, Brumio, and Tun Tun, y'all feel like you have this hag fairly well restrained at the moment. Is there anything that you would like to do?
Osakai will, after recounting the tale again, ensure that they know that if the hag gives us any trouble, just pour a little seawater on her.
And they smile wickedly, and you see one of them, Tun Tun, laughs, and he goes over and dips a bucket in the bilge water and pulls out that nasty, stinking bilge water that you went through recently and has it at the ready to splash against. By the way, the hag has not said anything other than inarticulate, shrieks and curses and little mild threats of, I'll kill you, kind of things, and hasn't really had much else to say.
Doesn't really need much to say.
You look up because the sky is split by a lightning bolt. In one of those weird tricks of the sea, the fog parts just for a moment, and you have no idea of scale when it comes to oceans. This is not your area of expertise. If you were on land, you'd probably be able to give a pretty good estimate of, that's 12 miles off or something like that. But you have no idea how far away this is. The lightning splits the sky, the fog parts, the wind blows, and you see something come out of the water. And the other reason you can't tell how far away it is because it's so big. It is a tentacle. It's just a massive tentacle. Comes up and doesn't really splash down, but just in the process of it coming down, you see the sea just displace. And you suspect that you know the origin of the several huge waves that y'all dealt with recently. And the lightning goes away and the image is gone.
Usukai will point in that general direction and ask if anybody else saw the giant tentacle come out of the ocean.
Brumio, the burly man, rubs his pendant with his hand and he goes, I saw it. Yeah, I saw that good and plenty, and that's about as much as I want to see.
The pendant rubbing is a little irritating, as it doesn't really give a whole lot of confidence in his fellow's wits, I should say. But at least he saw it, hopefully.
Well, you've certainly seen him do that gesture before, as he has told anyone who will dare to listen to him that he paid a premium price for this lump of coral, and he swears that it will keep him from drowning. He will survive long after the rest of y'all are dead. And you're just wondering in the back of your head, he describes an ancient old woman, a peddler woman, who sold him this pendant. And part of Osukai has to wonder...
Did she also have rope with her?
I don't know if you've asked or not, but it was pendant that he paid mini gold for, and believes that it's incredibly valuable.
With a wry smile, Osukai will recall Tix's encounter with an ancient old peddler woman who sold him 30 centimeters of rope.
Indeed, and in fact, in the last adventure that you will get back with, he was even able to use it again. So he's getting a lot of use out of that rope. I will give him that.
It was useful, but not for the purpose that she believed. She said it was be.
Exactly. I would like you to make a perception roll.
Okay. And this is where the dice begin to fail me. That's a 4.
So, I am going to let you make a reflex saving throw, but at disadvantage. So go ahead and do that for me now.
Okay, so I will roll at disadvantage. Okay, and... Ooh! Critical fail. That's a 1.
Ooh. And I would also like you to roll a percentage die, and the lower is better, just so you know.
Okay. That's a 100.
Oh.
Yes.
Huh. Okay, so I thought we would go a lot longer in this game before we got to one of those.
Okay.
So just so you and the listener know, I have a private rule that's just mine. Is whenever there's a critical failure, you roll the percentage die. Normally, anything of a normal roll, nothing happens. You just fail. If you roll a 90 or above, you lose a turn. At my discretion, if you roll a 95 or above, lose a turn and something bad happens. And if you roll 100, something really bad happens. For an NPC, it typically means instant death. And I have no intention of insta-killing any of my players, because that's no fun. But this is what happens. Out of the water comes crashing this creature. You think it's probably because you were so focused on looking at the giant tentacle that came out that you were somewhat distracted. And a zombie shark latches onto you. It's hurtling out of the ocean, and it latches on to your belly. It bursts through your armor and gives you a good chomp. And this is going to hurt, I'm afraid. Let's see here. Oh. So how many hit points does Osokai have?
I am currently at full, yes. Osokai has 26.
26, you say?
Do I have to roll up another character?
You have taken 37 hit points damage.
Actually, that's minus 10. That's death.
Oh, 30. Okay.
That's death. I am dead.
Yeah. Yeah, you are. You are dead.
Rest in peace, dead. Osokai.
So, we're not quite done with Osokai yet. What I would like to do is do something a little different.
Okay.
So you are dead.
Yes.
You are dead. You have just died, and your soul has just come out of your body. By the way, you look down, and you were not cut in half, but your entrails are laying all across the well-scrubbed deck. Zuana screams, but not like a girly scream, like a no kind of scream. And the other, various characters are rushing towards you. You feel your soul slowly floating upwards. Sorry, Isabel's texts there were distracting me.
Okay.
Listeners, Izzy actually was hearing some of this conversation. Is now actively texting, like, "What's going on? Is Osokai dead? What the heck?" You are not religious in the way many characters are, but you do follow the Traveler. Is that correct?
Yes.
You feel your soul starting to move towards a field of endless green, where you can run and hunt, have a delicious meal over a fire, and live out your days there. And then you feel something sticky catch you, and you slowly come to realize that you are trapped in a web.
Yes. I knew this pact would come in handy. I hoped this pact would come in handy. I was about to message you back channel and go, can Lolf do anything about this? But I'm so happy that Osokai took a chance. Oh.
You feel that terrible presence that you had kind of hoped to never feel again, but now you're also kind of wondering if you do, but you don't, but you do, but you don't, and you feel a vibration go through the web, and you feel that sensation of a prey that is caught in a web as a spider comes closer. And you see an aspect of Lolf, and it actually is the same aspect that you saw before. Oh yes, as Lee reminded me, a Dryda comes down the web. And by the way, the fields have faded away. You are now suspended over an oblivion of blackness. And you sense that if you fell down there, you would just fall forever. But because you're dead, you can't die of starvation, you can't even go mad, you would just exist forever in free fall. And Lolf looks at you. As this is an aspect, it does not destroy your mind, but it is still uncomfortable to be looked at by you. And she says, "Well, I was not expecting to see you so soon."
Neither was I, mistress. Neither was I.
And she plucks one of the webs. But you get this, you don't know, you just know things in this plane. You are sort of in the ethereal plane, perhaps in the astral plane. You don't really know theology very well and how that works, but you sense that if you had answered wrong, she would have broken that thread, and it would have taken you closer. She said, "Mistress, that is the correct response. I am, and forever shall be, your mistress. Now, have you been watching over my little pet?" and an image of Zuana comes to you.
To the best of my ability, mistress.
Good. She does not need looking after. She is, after all, one of mine. But I, unlike your failure, I need her to survive. Because she has an important task to fulfill. Am I clear? Now, what shall we do with you? I need to send you back. And I need you to be useful to me. But your body is, well, it is quite the mess, isn't it? Let's see. This should work. You have, 1 hour. 1 hour to repair your mortal frame, or you will be lost forever, and you will become my plaything. Goodbye.
And you feel like your head has been grabbed and just shoved downwards. And you gasp and look up, and you are standing on the deck of the ship. And you are looking at your horribly mutilated corpse.
How does one in the middle of the sea repair literally broken in half corpse of one's deceased body?
That is a fascinating question.
In 1 hour.
And you also have another issue, is that there's still a zombie shark on the ship, and it is trying to bite everyone, including you. And I need you to roll for initiative.
Okay. This is going to be interesting, fighting in incorporeal form. That is... that's a 3.
A 3? Okay. Well,
I rolled a natural 1.
I think we'll give it to coming back to the land of the living. Oh, I fear that I may not have explained myself properly. You are corporeal right now.
Sorry?
You are corporeal. You are in a physical form.
Oh.
Your body is laying over there, and your entrails are spread out across, but you are in a corporeal form.
Okay. As what? Or who?
You look at your hands, and you see a billowing white shirt and the edges of a red scarf hanging below. You believe that you are in the body of Jackson, the female captain.
Okay.
You're not sure, but you think you are. You don't have a mirror handy, but by process of elimination, and you do remember that she had a white billowing shirt on.
I'm sure there are other ways to tell as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Is Jackson in here with me?
You hear like a faint echo that maybe she is.
Well, Osakai knows nothing about boats or boat combat or anything. Osakai, however, will bark out, secure the body, and then will try to listen to what Jackson is saying and emulate her best of his ability, if not give over to her completely to allow her to do her job as ship captain. I don't know how this is going to work, but Osakai has no idea. He just knows he needs his body secured, and then something has to happen with this giant zombie shark and on the boats, and the best person to do that is Jackson herself.
Mm-hmm. That is true. And big kudos to you for actively reaching out. This is something that might have come up during the roleplay, and certainly you probably would have had the option to supplant her entirely. But as you do actively search out for her, you sense you have control of this body, but you sense that she is in there, not very happy, I might add, to suddenly find herself a passenger in her own body. Right now, the pressing thing is the giant shark that's still trying to eat everyone. And you see Zuana, she twirls her quarterstaff and slams it into the side of the shark. And that is a 17 with her bonuses. That does Not super great. It does 5 points of damage to the shark. Brumio pulls out a long scimitar, which, by the way, virtually all the ship crew have one form of scimitar or another. They're not really a combat crew, but they're still sea people, and they have a weapon, and so they all have scimitars of equal stature, including...
Which is good. Which is good considering they are keen weapons, so...
Exactly, against this particular fella. Brumio also gives his go and completely misses. Tun is the only one who has a much larger, what would be a two-handed weapon. And he also misses. They are not doing terribly well. Part of it is that they're kind of afraid to get near the shark. It lashes out, and fortunately it rolls a 6 as it tries to snap at Zuana, because she is the closest. It's also got some disadvantage, the fact that it is a shark. Even a zombie shark on a ship is just not in its natural element. And now it's your turn.
Okay, it's really difficult since Ozuko has no experience in this particular realm of sharing a body with another soul, but as quickly as he can, he will explain the situation to Jackson, hoping that at the speed of thought this conversation can go within a few seconds, and will ask her, if he can't give over to her to take the wheel, we'll ask her what he should do next.
Okay. I would like you to make a persuasion roll.
Okay. That's a natural 20. Oh, why must you do this to me, dice?
It as it comes and goes, so it giveth, so it taketh away. It is at the speed of thought, and you can't have. It's not like y'all can have a massive diatribe of conversation. But you are able to have a tremendous amount, basically like 5 rounds worth of conversation in a single round. She understands the situation is this. Is you're in here, and we have to figure out a way to get you back in that body, because because there's not really a whole lot of hiding from each other in this, is her concern is if this fails, if whatever needs to happen doesn't happen, one, you might be trapped in here forever, and she might be a permanent passenger in her own body forever. The other is, well, if you die, is that going to kill her? And the truth is she doesn't know, and neither do you. And so what she realizes is her own best interest is to get you out of this body as quickly as possible. And the best way to do that is to fix up your body and get you out. And so because of the natural 20, that's the conclusion she comes to. She tells you that. What she tells you is that the fact that the shark leapt on means that normally she might try some kind of tactic of literally trying to bum rush it off the ship, but it clearly has the ability to jump, so it's just going to jump again. So she tells you there's a few different options. You could try to set it on fire, very dangerous on a wooden ship, even in the rain. Y'all can literally try to beat it to death with your weapons, which is entirely doable, but dangerous. Or anyone has any kind of magic, if there's a way to restrain it, do anything like that, that would be helpful. By the way, speaking of restrained, the hag is still restrained where it was. It has not been able to escape, because as you can imagine, y'all did not mess around tying it up.
Osuke will like to... I'm assuming Zuana informed Osuke of the hag's abilities.
Yes.
And what he did was good.
Yes.
Osuke will proffer, perhaps we could use the hag's abilities to our advantage.
She says that's very, very dangerous, but given that there is a zombie shark on the deck, I think it might be our best option.
I will also assume that Zuana made the hag's abilities known to everybody since she is dangerous, so it's not like if Jackson says something about this, it's going to come as a surprise to anybody.
No, what she didn't give in great detail, but what she made sure everyone knew is that its eyes can kill.
Yes.
And so
she leave the bucket on its head.
Exactly. She made sure that everyone knew that under no circumstances was the bucket to come off.
Okay. All right. So Osuke is going to thank her as quickly as possible and promise as best as possible that this situation will be resolved as best we can. He doesn't like it any more than she does, and is going to actually bark to everybody to remember what I said about the bucket. Forget it. Get behind the hag, take the bucket off. Now. And move behind the hag, and face the hag towards the shark.
By the way, there are other crew on the ship. It's just that Brumio and Tuntun are really the only ones who are, which you would consider, fighters. They're combat ready. The other ones could maybe, wield a knife, okay, but they're not going to be much use. They're more like maintaining the rigging. And I just wanted to say that there's other people scurrying about going, Brumio and Tuntun look at you like, what? But they do comply because they're used to following Jackson's orders. And they both go over. They actually don't take off the bucket yet, but they both grab the hag by each, kind of do like that under the underarm pit grab. And then they turn and look at you like, huh?
And where Osakai from behind will remove the bucket.
The hag, by the way, it can still turn its head. So if you're not going to try to do something to restrain its head,
I'm going to try and dodge. All right, actually, yeah, we will try and restrain the head.
Okay. Then I would like you. Well, the Tuntun and Brumio are both holding it by the arms. So you will need to make a strength check. And while you do have all of your other skills, you actually only have a +1 to this in this body.
Okay, I was about to ask what Jackson's abilities were, so +1. Okay. Which is thankful because I just rolled a 19.
So an unnatural 20. The hag is trying to look at you, and as I mentioned before, one of its eyes is like almost bulging out of its socket, and it turns and is just like, and you feel this horrible presence as the magic of it, the evil eye, is trying to lay across you, but you force it back, and the shark comes slashing out towards y'all, and that's when it hits the shark. And unsurprisingly, zombie shark does not have a fantastic save. Let me put it this way. You were really, really glad you put that bucket on earlier, because the zombie shark instantly dies. Ceases to be animate and is no more. It instantly falls to the ground in a heap, and its body is just a disgusting, partially rotted carcass on the deck. It is, by the way, a great white shark. You didn't get bit by no little wussy shark. You got chomped good by a giant white shark. Yes, it was enormous. But it is no more. What are you going to do with this here hag?
Osukai will scream, fetch another bucket, a fresh bucket. There will hopefully be plenty of people around who know where fresh buckets are, since the one we have is cracked and probably won't go back on the head.
Well, if you recall earlier, Tuntun went and got a bucket filled with brine. He grabs it and splashes it over its head, and it screams in horror and pain and agony and fury, and you hear bubbling under as it's spitting out seawater, bilge water, all of the curses of its kind, and all of the things that it would like to do to you.
And we will restrain it back to the mast. It's a zombie shark. We probably can't eat it, which is a bit of a pain.
Oh yeah, you definitely don't want to eat this.
So, everyone heave to. Actually, no. Ozuko will ask Jackson what she would like to do with the shark, whether it should go off the side, whether you keep it for, perhaps its fat can be used for lanterns or oils, or he doesn't know, but assuming that getting the shark off the boat would be a good call, but maybe there's something else she'd like to do with it. Maybe teeth could be used, bones, who knows. But this is her boat. He's done what he could, but she's the one that knows what she wants to get done with whatever happens to her boat.
You confer with her, and she actually says that's thinking like a ship captain, that, waste not, want not. But she says this is an unnatural thing, and it is rotten. And there's just too much chance that it will just as likely make us sick as us be able to render the fat for something useful. We just need to get it gone.
All hands heave to, push the thing off the boat.
And you turn back, and there you see Zuana, and she is kneeling over your corpse. And she's not crying, because that's not her way.
Not the drow way.
Yeah, this quote-unquote wood elf is kneeling over your corpse, and she's just bowing her head, and you see her reach forward, and she closes your lifeless eyes.
So I'm as a soul inhabiting the body. Does Jackson also share my memories?
She can kind of access them. It's not like a one for one, like watching a video. It's more like impressions and images, and you're kind of getting a little bit of that as well. But if you like encourage her to look at a particular area, she kind of can gain that knowledge a little bit.
So we face a problem. Jackson, up until now, depending on what happens next, doesn't know Zuana's true form. However, she's going to need to know because Osukai needs to make contact with Zuana and let her know he's here. And that means possibly opening Zuana up to being exposed for a drow. Jackson needs to be on board with this. This is gonna... okay. Alright. I am going to, as you suggest, as you mentioned, very in this speed of thought stuff that's going on, very, 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 very carefully open up all of my memories about Zuana from beginning to end so that Jackson knows both what she is and, more importantly, why she is. And then make it clear that she's the best hope we have right now for fixing this. But we need to get her to know who inhabits this body and what needs to happen. And I will roll a persuasion check. Oh, thank you. That is a natural 20.
So, again, you think part of it truly is that you do a really good job of presenting this, that this isn't just a drow. This is a person who saved your life, who you've saved her life, who has cared for children, who has, stepped up and done what is necessary, left her home, put herself in danger by abandoning her people, on and on and on and on. But you also get the feeling that part of it, again, is this is probably going to be the most expedient way for her to get her body back, is to accept this. So it's those two things together. And she just looks up and she goes, I always wondered why she always had that weird headdress on. And that's the only comment. And she's like, well, I guess then we have to do what we have to do. Okay,
so we will tap Zuana on the shoulder, gently.
Gently is good, because she starts.
She does. Osukai knows this. And say, we need to talk now. And hopefully with the same intonation that Osukai has normally, which I'm hoping is not generally how Jackson talks, so that maybe Zuana understands something is going on, but I leave that to your discretion.
Well, I'm going to roll real quick. No, she rolled a 1, so Zuana is too distracted by your passing that she does not catch on the intonations of your voice. Because a lot of that was also your deep, rumbling voice, which is now coming out as a... Captain Jackson has a pleasant, lower woman's voice, but it's still a woman's voice. And even with your intonation, she does not pick up on it. But she nods, and she in her wood elf accent says, "Yes, we do need to prepare the body for burial."
That's what I need to talk to you about. In your quarters, perhaps?
Well, it is not very pleasant smelling, but perhaps that is best.
Okay, I will again call for stronger fortitude, shall we say, members of the crew, to gather up the halves and as much of the entrails as possible and place them in a secure but remote section of the ship.
Okay.
And hopefully the members will know exactly where to go and will tell me where they will put the body, so that we can, and tell them that it's a strange request, but it is important, and if anyone has any problems, to address me with them.
They obey your orders. They do look at you a little quizzically, but Jackson tells you that if someone was to die at sea, typically the body is set aside there's a room where things are generally kept cool, and the body is then wrapped and then put out at sea over a few words. So they follow your orders, and they kind of gather up the entrails and stuff and sort of scoop them together as they can and carry it off to a secure location. And the struggle, a Tun ends up doing most of it because Brumio literally could not lift, but Tun is extremely strong.
290 pounds dead weight is going to be, it'd be half that, really. in two halves. But
yeah, well, you didn't get torn exactly in half, but you did have your bowels torn out.
Yes.
Which is why it was instantly fatal.
And then we will go to Zuana's quarters.
You go to Zuana's quarters, and as she promised, it smells very bad because you sloshed a bucket of sick onto the bag, and it's now evenly distributed across the room. And it's, it does not smell good in there. And in addition to the fact that she's been, off and on terribly sick the entire journey. But she closes the door and turns to look at you.
So I will pop open the porthole that we closed before to let some air in. And then I will turn to Zuana and say, I will mutter as best I can the only words I know in Drow. The same ones that I said to her when we were searching for the children. The same ones I said to let her know that, or to get her attention. I will say the exact same words, and hopefully she will recognize, one, Captain Jackson shouldn't know those words, and two, the only person she knows who knows those words is Osokai.
I'm not going to make you roll, because you've had many times to practice those words, and they hold a special meaning to you, and is if my poor GM brain is remembering right, it was basically saying, come here, listen and attend to me. Her face is like stone, and you know that she has a great deal of practice not breaking character. And so but when she hears those words, her entire body becomes rigid. And even though she doesn't move, her eyes just slowly narrow, and she looks at you. And you see her hand slightly tighten on her staff.
I will then point at myself and go and say, Osokai, you're bare.
And her eyes widen, and she says the only thing that could make sense to her at this time, and she says, "Law?"
Nod. Osokai will nod.
Oh, this is very serious. How long do you have?
How long was the combat?
It was over in minutes. So you would assume that you have, after everything, this all happened so quickly, you would imagine you have about 45 minutes.
Yeah. Osokai will say, the deal was for 1 hour, 45 minutes now, approximately.
She nods, and she says, It is beyond my ability to heal your body. I do not have that skill. And the little one, I do not know if he could do it now that you are a corpse, but he is gone. You assume she's referring to Tix. And she shakes her head, and she goes, I am not sure what to do.
I will place a hand on Zuana's shoulder in the same way that Osokai would do, and simply nod and look at her and say, I believe. We know something can be done.
You are right. Loth does not do anything without 100 different motivations. Most of those are with foul intention, but she would not bring you back if there was no hope. There must be something that can be done.
Osokai, in the meantime, will be looking to Jackson to see if she may know anything. She knows the seas, she knows this route. Is there somewhere within an hour? There's probably nothing, but who knows? We have been through a lot.
Think through, you see through her memories. There is a regular trade route that people take. And imagine a giant horseshoe that they normally take by land. Or you can go across the Sand Swallow Sea, which is incredibly dangerous and full of monsters and full of pirates, are just as likely to prey on each other as any passengers. But those who do cross the Sand Swallow Sea make tremendous profits. They make 10, 20 times as much because they're able to deliver the goods so much faster. And the truth is, there actually is an island. There is an island that is very, very close to here. And it is reputed to have a powerful magic user of some kind, of incredible power and danger. And it might be what you're looking for. And that's where we'll end Chafing Armor, episode 27. My. Did this take an interesting turn?
Indeed.
So we will find out in the next episode. Well, not in the next episode, actually, because we have something special coming up for Tix. But after that, the next main episode, we will find out the fate of Osokai. Lee, thank you so much for playing.
Thank you very much. It was a roller coaster of luck and a roller coaster of emotion.
Oh my goodness. That 100, I cannot believe it.
I did find myself tearing up just a little bit, personally, when Osokai spoke the words, "Your bear."
Yeah, that was really, really good. That was really good. Had the effect that you're looking for. And who knows, there's a slight chance you might survive. So, we'll get to that soon. Take care, everyone, and we will roll with you soon.